It's official. It just happened. Four-star quarterback Jaden Rashada has just verbally committed to the U. Let's go.
You are Locked On Canes, your daily podcast on the Miami Hurricanes. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
I am your host, Alex Donno. I'm a University of Miami alumnus, longtime South Florida sports radio vet, including pregame and postgame for Miami Hurricanes football. And thank you so much for making Locked On Canes your first listen every day. We're available free wherever you get your podcasts and available free on YouTube. I can't contain my joy. Jaden Rashada was just live on CBS Sports HQ. Oh, they milked that announcement. It wasn't Jaden's fault. They said 4 p.m. They ended up like doing hockey picks for like 20 minutes. And then finally they cut to Jaden Rashada. And wow, you could really tell Jaden has put a lot of thought into this decision. So many of the reports in recent weeks, we talked to John Garcia every week, Sports Illustrated, and it really did seem like he was genuinely undecided until very recently, even pushed back his announcement 8 days. But yeah, he put on the Miami Hurricanes hat, and one of the top quarterbacks in his class, 4-star, 7th-ranked QB in the class of 2023, is going to be a Miami Hurricane. He verbally committed today, and gosh, Miami's quarterback room, it's now loaded. Tyler Van Dyke, the incumbent starter. If things go well for him, he'll be off to the NFL in less than a year. Jake Garcia, who's another 4-star, is there right behind him, potentially ready to take over as the starter in 2023. Jakari Brown, highly touted 3-star class of 2022. Let's not forget, less than a week ago, 3-star in the class of 2023, Emory Williams just committed to Miami, and now Jaden Rashada commits. So you've got two highly touted quarterbacks. Obviously, Rashada is the even more highly touted coming into that class of 2023. Miami's quarterback room, it's deep, it is locked, and it's loaded. And I've come to learn a lot about Rashada in the recent months throughout his recruitment process. Let's talk about his style of play, okay? This young man, he plays with no fear. He loves to attack deep down the field. And that doesn't mean he can't make the short and intermediate throws as well, but he loves to attack down the field. And I love his deep ball. When it comes to just his mechanics, right? He's very good at throwing on the move, good at planting his feet, good at setting his body, can make throws across his body as a right-handed quarterback. Very strong arm, very accurate, and he knows how to put the proper touch on his deep ball, knows when to take some of the air off of it. And yeah, if you watch his huddle reel and some of the highlights out there on YouTube, and I thought, and there's a lot, you can get yourself stuck into a Jaden Rashada rabbit hole. You can watch a ton of footage out there on him. I thought that one of the YouTubers who did a really good job breaking it down was Coach Hayes on the Coach Hayes channel, who, really, I think, put it in simple terms, just how difficult some of the throws Jaden Rashada makes at the high school level are. Northern California kid, Pittsburgh, California. I had never heard of Pittsburgh, CA until Rashada's recruitment, but, I've been told it's very close to Oakland. It's up there in the Bay Area. And yeah, Jaden Rashada, he's got a good sense of the history of the University of Miami. Talked about, hey, Miami has had really good quarterbacks from the state of California, from Northern California before. Let's remember our good friend Ken Dorsey in recent years. And one thing that Jaden talked about when he was making his announcement today, before he put on that University of Miami hat, was South Florida really felt like home for him. He kept saying that he was getting Cali vibes from Miami. Similar. I've been to Southern California many times. I've actually never been to Northern California, but I guess the vibe up there is similar enough to the Southern California vibe, which is pretty consistent to a Miami vibe. And he talked about making his second visit was when Miami really started to get over the top for him and really started to feel right. And so, yeah, this guy's, I cannot emphasize enough, not only in a vacuum, just getting Jaden Rashada, is huge. And we're going to see. I'm not an expert when it comes to the math on this stuff, but for those of you who follow, the class of 2023 overall rankings, Rivals and 24/7, they do their composites, and Miami's got like a class that's ranked in the 20s right now. I don't know exactly how much higher just this Rashada commit is going to put Miami's class for the class of 2023. I'm sure it's going to rise up considerably after this announcement was made. But guys, in a vacuum, it's big. But at the same time, I think this is the start of an avalanche. I think Jaden Rashada committing to Miami, some of the best recruits you can have, or sorry, some of the best recruiters you can have are the recruits themselves, right? I mean, you look at guys like Antonio Tripp and Frankie Tinalau on the offensive line who are committed for the class of 2023, especially Tripp. Like, he's always on Twitter just preaching the gospel of Miami and like openly recruiting other players to come to the U. And, Wesley Besaint did a lot of that, last year. Or sorry, in this recruiting cycle for the class of 2022. Like, you get these evangelists out there. I don't know exactly like how outwardly outspoken Rashada is going to be, but when you land a talent like this, other talent wants to place themselves with a talented quarterback like Jaden Rashada. So you're going to see wide receivers out there. I'm really now going to be looking at Jaylen Brown, who's Miami Immortals teammate 7-on-7 of Jaden Rashada. And when Jaden Rashada was here just a few days ago at the U making his official visit, he invited Jaylen Brown to come spend his OV with him. The two of them are very close. So now with Rashada being at Miami, you've got to look now at a guy like Jaylen Brown, that there may be kind of a magnetic pull for him to come towards Miami because of that. Then I'm sure that there are other very talented wide receivers, talented offensive linemen out there are going to say, okay, I want to hitch my wagon to that quarterback. That I was thinking about Miami. I was kind of on the fence about Miami. But now that I see that, okay, that staff over there, they're pulling out the big guns now. They are playing with the big boys when you get a quarterback recruit like this. And yeah, that's the sort of situation I want to hitch my wagon to. So this stuff, it becomes infectious, right? Now that Jaden Rashada is here, Miami was already doing a fine job with recruiting. Look, listen, if things had gone a different way, I would have honestly been perfectly satisfied with just Emory Williams in the class of 2023 a quarterback, because I think he can be very, very good. I think there's a lot to work with there, and I think he can be a very good Power 5 quarterback, right? But obviously now with Jaden Rashada, I think this is the start of an avalanche, and I think that others are going to see, okay, Miami, that's the place where I want to be. That's the university I want to hitch my wagon to. So hey, if you're tuning into this late, I don't know where you've been, but thank you. And by the way, guys, if you're listening to the audio podcast channel, make sure you subscribe and make sure you spread the gospel of Locked On Canes. We're here every single day. If you're watching the video version of this on YouTube, make sure you smash that like button, hit that thumbs up button, and subscribe. So let's talk a little bit about just the roller coaster of this Jaden Rashada recruitment. But I want to remind you guys, betonline.net is your number one source for all your betting needs and sports info. You can find all the latest sports developments, league reviews, and news, including this year's NHL playoffs and Major League Baseball. BetOnline is your continued source for all your sporting wagering information, including live betting, esports, and scores. And BetOnline.net remains the best spot for all of your sports scores, podcasts, and news this season. BetOnline.net is the fastest and easiest way to check in on all your favorite sports and events, including MMA, boxing, and golf. So head to the website today or use your mobile device to learn more about the trends in action. BetOnline, where the game starts. Thank you so much for making Locked On Canes your first listen every day. We're available free wherever you get your podcasts. A couple of weeks ago, felt like Miami and Rashada was going nowhere. It honestly felt like that a couple weeks ago. Now, his top 5 finalists came down to Texas A&M, Ole Miss, Florida, LSU, and Miami. Up until about a week ago, it was actually a top 7 because he also had UCLA and Oregon in that top seven mix. He eventually eliminated the two of them from his top tier. And honestly, going back a few weeks, it really felt like Oregon was the favorite. That's what I was getting a sense from in talking to a lot of the recruiting analysts out there, that it really felt like it was trending towards Oregon 3, 4 weeks ago, right? More recently, week and a half ago, really felt like it was trending towards the University of Florida. I don't think Billy Napier was feeling too good about all that. Otherwise, he wouldn't be writing open letters to his fans, essentially apologizing for the bad recruiting that's taken place there right now at the University of Florida. But no, very recently, it felt like Florida was the favorite. And we thought Florida was getting his final official visit, which is a good spot to be in, right? You'd like to be first or last when it comes to OVs. You'd like to have the first official visit or the last. You don't really like to be in the middle. We thought Florida had the last official visit. Rashada was originally was going to announce 8 days ago, last Saturday, which would have been right off the Florida visit, and then he postponed 8 days. And now he's taking his final official visit because he still had one in his back pocket. Now he's taken his final official visit to Miami the weekend of Legends Camp. So the fortunes completely changed. Okay. And I said this a couple of times this past week, that if Jaden Rashada did end up committing to Miami, with the way that this roller coaster has played out over the past month, this is going to feel like the script to a Disney movie. And we've got it. We've got our Disney movie. You talk about the other part of that roller coaster. I think it was Tuesday, I want to say, was the day that Emory Williams committed. All the days start to run together, but I think it was just 5 days ago that Emory Williams, Miami's other quarterback commit for the class of 2023, announced. And when that happened, a lot of you know who you are. A lot of you were freaking out a little bit, like, we're settling, that we're settling for a lesser quarterback. And by the way, if if Emory Williams or anyone who knows him is watching this, those are not my words. I'm not saying you're a lesser quarterback. I think you can be really, really good. And I know you want to compete and you're not scared of the other guys in that quarterback room. And that is awesome. But I did see a lot of Hurricanes fans freaking out like, oh, we just settled for someone who's not as good as Rashada or Dante Moore. And oh, now Rashada's not going to come here because of Emory Williams. Like, Jaden Rashada didn't care. Like, Jaden Rashada, he was going to make his decision dependent on him, not dependent on anyone else or any other quarterback. He was going to go where he felt the best fit, and he's an alpha. He's not afraid to compete. He's not afraid of another quarterback in the same class. And so I wasn't worried about that, right? Like, I was never saying, hey, I guarantee Rashad is coming. That's not my angle here. But I didn't think Emory Williams coming would have any effect on Jaden Rashada coming, and it certainly didn't at the end of the day. He seems like a really nice, kind, soft-spoken young man, Rashada. I mean, he wasn't like loud and boisterous. He didn't do anything like throwing any hats away before he put on them. He was very respectful about it. Like, he even said he specifically thanked all of the coaches who recruited him. And he said thanks to God. He said thanks to his family. Like, he really wanted to soak in that moment, but he also wanted to be respectful in that moment. And so now the Miami Hurricanes have a 6'4" listed 185 pounds, but he's going to get bigger and he's going to get stronger. He'll be in like the, probably, I don't know, 205 range by the time he actually arrives on campus next year. But I love the height. I love the arm strength. I love the arm talent. I was watching them kind of chalk it up a little bit on CBS Sports HQ, and the comparison, like the NFL quarterback comp that came up for him was Patrick Mahomes. And I can see it with some of the characteristics, right? I mean, listen, I never want to say, oh, he's going to be as good as Patrick Mahomes. Who the heck knows? But just as far as kind of the way he moves on the field, and you see he can improvise and make some of those sidearm throws the same way that Mahomes can. And he's mobile. He can throw well on the run. So I can see some of those comparisons, right? If you squint a little bit, like, you kind of say, oh, is that a young Pat Mahomes that's slinging it down the field? So this is fantastic. Make sure, guys, you subscribe, whether it's on YouTube or our audio channels. And guys, hit us with your Rashada questions, your Miami quarterback room questions, because we are loaded, right? For next year, it's going to be Tyler Van Dyke, Jake Garcia, Jakari Brown. The year after that, assuming TVD goes off to the NFL, Jake Garcia, Jakari Brown, Emory Williams, Jaden Rashada. I feel great. It's great to be a Miami Hurricane. Like it really, really feels great to see where all of this is going in recruiting and all of the momentum. So yeah, guys, remember, support everything in the Locked On family. Chances are, if you're watching this, you're probably a South Florida sports fan. If you root for other South Florida teams, Locked On Dolphins, Locked On Heat, Locked On Panthers, Locked On Marlins are all awesome. So we will have an episode tomorrow. This is a Sunday special because Jaden Rashada announces Miami. We got to talk about it, okay? We're going to have our regular Monday episode tomorrow. We'll talk more about Rashada. We'll take some of your questions. We'll talk about Miami's recruiting thus far because we've landed a lot of good players over the past week. A couple of tight ends, couple of quarterbacks, wide receiver, junior college transfer. So, yeah, we're going to have a lot to talk about throughout the week. This has been another episode of Locked On Canes, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.